Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video with me, Oddworld Inhabitant, as your host. So, today is going to be a different kind of video. So, the last few episodes that I've released, in fact all the episodes released up until this point, they've all been about how you can get the most out of your army, or what I think you should take to be competitive, or this is how, blah blah blah. Today we're going to, and it's sort of maybe the start of a new kind of series, but we're going to sort of call it a know your enemy video and how to beat a certain kind of list video. And we're going to start off with one which you guys have probably heard me talk about a lot, and we're going to talk about how to beat the infamous Wolfstar, and to a certain extent any kind of invisible Death Star. But this video will be more specifically dealing with Wolfstar itself. So I've never collected Wolfstar. I don't know exactly what's in it, but I know, and there's always some variations of it. But the gist is you take a couple of Thunderwolf. You go Space Wolves. So you go Space Wolves. You take a couple of their Chapter Master or equivalents, I think Wolf Lords. You put them on a Thunderwolf mount. You make sure they've got a 2+ armor save. You give them a Storm Shield, so they've got a 2+ armor save, 3+ invuln save. Then you attach a bunch of Iron Priests, also, which are the equivalent of, Tech Marines for the Space Wolves. You take a bunch of Iron Priests and you put them on Thunderwolf Cavalry. Those guys I don't think need 3+ saves, but they may have Storm Shields as well. But they definitely, obviously, they've got the Servo Harness for the Power Fist. And then you take each one of those is it counts as equipment a bunch of either Cyber Wolves or Fenrisian Wolves. It's quite interesting how they work because they are equipment. They're a unit, but you buy them as equipment, so they don't count as. It's weird how it is, but basically, they're not a unit. They're equipment for the Iron Priest. So he is not attached to a squad of Fenrisian Wolves. No. Those Fenrisian Wolves are, and not for all intents and purposes, the same as his bolter or bolt pistol. Okay, so he still counts as an independent character. So you've got a couple of Wolf Lords, I think 3 or 4 Iron Priests as well. It's probably 3, with as many Fenrisian Wolves as you can get, or Cyber Wolves. Then it's typically got a Librarian's Conclave attached to it, which the regular Librarians will be on bikes and Tiggy will probably be on foot. And then usually there'll be some form of unit that gives it hit and run. Think a lot of people like to go for Raven Wing, not Raven Guard, Raven Wing. So Dark Angels, Raven Wing, and so you attach. So what you do is you take this one squad of bikes. The squad of bikes have hit and run, and then you attach all these independent characters. So you attach all the different librarians from the Librarians Conclave and the Wolf Lords and the Iron Priests, and you attach them all to this one unit, so they form one big unit. But there are many variations of it. I've seen this list run, and then there's been like a couple of unit of Wolf Scouts running around. I've seen it without the Wolf Scouts in a formation. But the general gist of it is you have a source of reliable psychic powers attached to a bunch of very fast-moving, hard-hitting, close combat monsters. Okay. So that's the list. Now, what your opponent is going to do, or what the person running the Wolfstar is going to do, is they're going to fish for invisibility with every single power they've got. They are going to take Every single librarian is going to roll on, I think it's telepathy to get invisibility, and they're going to keep rolling on that table until they get invisibility. Once they've got invisibility, if they're going to take it to the, they might go for some various other powers, but the next one they want to go for is, I don't remember the name of it, but it's on the new Space Marine powers, and I think it's called like Veil of Time. It's definitely called Veil of something, and it allows you to reroll saves. So they are a invisible unit, generally with a 2+ armor save, minimum of 3+ invulnerable save, with rerolls. So very tough to kill. I think it's a 2-up rerollable armor save on its own is bad enough, but with the needing 6s to hit and therefore and also being immune to blasts, obviously being invisible, it makes it very difficult to do any damage to them whatsoever. Okay. I think you need to do over 1,000. You need to inflict 1,000 wounds, I believe, to actually do a wound between, or is it 1,000 shots? I think you need to do 1,000 shots in order to inflict one wound. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? 1,000 lasgun shots to do one wound. So tough. So how do we beat it? Well, the first thing to do is to just, and this is if we're using pure guard. I'm talking about this if you are Imperial Guard, you've got your CAD or maybe some kind of formation, but you know you've gone to the tournament and this is one of the first games you've come across. Okay, what do you do to beat it? Well, if you're just running pure guard, dispel the notion that you're going to kill it, because you're not going to kill it. This thing is a nigh-on unkillable unit, and you just have to accept that now. Does that mean it's unbeatable? Not by a long shot. I have about, using pure infantry guard, I have about a 50% success rate versus Wolfstar. I went to a team tournament this year, and it was 4 people per team, and my role within my team was to take on every invisible Death Star, and there were 6 games. Was it 5 or 6 games? I can't remember. I go to too many of these fucking things. I think it's in the team tournament. It's just 5. Yeah, in the singles, it's 6 games. In the team tournament, it's 5 in this particular event. In this where I go to the tournaments, and I took on 2 Wolfenstars, 2 Wolfstars, and a Dog Star, but they all ran the same format, and I had 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And the draw was so almost a win for me at 1 kill point difference. That's all that was. All that did it. So how did I beat this thing? Well, I didn't ever kill it. Okay? I didn't ever do that much damage to it. But in a tournament format, the way you beat this thing is by playing to the objectives. So there are 2 ways to go about beating this this unit. It's a one unit army. The way you beat it is you have to have a large squad of conscripts, preferably 2 large squad of conscripts, minimum of 30, recommend 35 to 40, and you string those out across your whole deployment zone. Because what the Wolfstar is going to do is turn 1, it's going to go invisible. It's going to deploy as far back as possible. And turn 1, it's going to go invisible. And turn 2, it's going to eat your face off. Okay? That's what it's going to do. Actually, that's probably going to, I'll go through exactly what it's going to do. So turn 1, deployment, he's going to deploy out of line of sight as far back as he can, because he's very mobile. And then turn 2 is going to Turn 1, he's going to become invisible and run at you as fast as possible. It will end up conglining a few dogs back to keep Tiggy, because Tiggy can only move 6 inches, but he's going to move and run towards you as fast as possible. You will get precisely, if he goes first, you will just get precisely 1 turn of shooting, no more. Okay, and then turn 2. So then you get to shoot at him, and then turn 2 he's going to hit you, guaranteed. This is as a guard. This is if you're playing guard, obviously. So what you've got to do is you've got to absorb that first charge, because that first charge is almost the deadliest. So you've got to absorb that first charge, and you do that with conscripts, because his entire army is just 1 unit. So if you have 2 lines of conscripts, one behind the other, he may end up multi-charging you, but more than likely he's going to hit the front line and then chew through that. Now, he may end up hit and running out of combat, so he may end up killing everyone on the front line, but one way or another, even if you get to shoot him, you're not going to do any damage to him. Shooting is almost, as a shooter, it's almost irrelevant you shoot him, because you're going to be firing hundreds and hundreds of shots at him and maybe killing 1 wolf here and there. Turn 2, so that was turn 2. Turn 3, he's going to smash into your second line of conscripts. He's going to eat all of them. But that's where it's going to start getting interesting. Turn 4 is when he is going to kill something else. So he's going to probably chow down on one of your other blobs if you've taken 2 blobs of conscripts and then 3 regular blobs. Or if you've not taken all infantry, he's going to start trying to go for your tanks. At this point, once he's broken through, on his turn 4, your opponent is going to try and kill as much as possible. He's going to multi-charge as much as possible. He's going to engage everything as much as possible. In his turn 4. In his turn 5, he's going to he's going to do what I call, he's going to split the unit, or the unit's going to go poof. Okay, the unit's going to go poof. What it's going to do is every single character in that unit that makes up this unit, so every single unit within the unit is going to break apart. It's going to become about 7 or 8 different units, and he's going to put 1 on each objective. He's going to go on every objective. Or if he thinks he can table you, he's going to send 1 into each unit that you've got left. Okay. Because he has to assume the game's going to end on turn 5. The game doesn't end on turn 5. It goes into turn 6. It starts getting worse and worse for him. In turn 7, it gets worse and worse for him because he's no longer invisible. So how the Wolfstar works is it goes rah 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 rah, rah smash 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 smash, kill 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 kill, rah, da, 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 and then goes fuck, get onto the objectives quickly. But then he's got to stay on those objectives. He's got to, because he has no guarantee it's going to go on to the next turn. So how do you beat this? Okay, well, I've already mentioned the first part. You've got to slow him down. You're not going to stop him, but you've got to slow him down until it gets to turn 4 and turn 5, where he is going to be forced to go on to objectives. Now, a good way of beating the Wolfstar is to use a CAD rather than the Emperor Shield Infantry Company, simply because you will be OBSEC and he won't be. I mean, overall, the Emperor Shield Infantry Company is better, but in this one situation, I mean, this may not be throughout a tournament. If you're playing against your mate who has an invisible Death Star, this is how you can beat it. There you go. Take a CAD. You know what you're going to be facing, take a CAD. Now, there are 2 ways. So the unoptional way, of the unoptional part of your strategy is the speed bump. Okay, you have to have those 2 units of conscripts. I mean, 1 unit won't buy you enough time. You have to have 2 units of conscripts. Now, you aren't going to... Now, some of you will be thinking, well, what I could do is take everyone in blobs and then charge everything into him and then try and slow him down for the whole game. let's say you try and charge 3 or 4 blobs into him, and then I'll have multiple small units running around and he'll be stuck in combat all game. 2 things. 1, he has hit and run. He doesn't have to stay in that combat. He will just, no matter what, this is how the list works. It's why the list is so powerful. It's why it's a tournament winning list. He is just going to hit and run out of there on turn 4 and turn 5. And all you've done is get yourself sucked into this giant combat, and it ends up slowing you down. Other option is he'll just kill everything. Now you might think there's no way, especially if he doesn't have the charge, that he could kill my 150 guys. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the last tournament I went to, the game, and I've mentioned this in another video, the reason I lost to the Wolfstar, only 2 games I lost, one of them was against Wolfstar, was because he charged my front line of conscripts, and then I sent 3 blobs of 50 men into him, and did precisely 0 damage because I'm still hitting on 6s, and I'm still wounding him on 6s, and he's still got a 2-up rerollable save. He then proceeded to kill 50 men a turn every turn, including my own, because I charged in, he killed 50. In his turn, he killed 50, and in my turn, he killed himself out of combat. Because he's not just going to have his armor saves, and he's not just going to have invis, he's not just going to have Veil of Tears, he's going to have prescience as well. So he's going to be re-rolling hits against you. Each one of those dogs has a surprising amount of hits, because don't forget, you're not just taking on 5 Iron Priests and 2 Wolf Lords and a few Librarians. You're taking on between 15 and 20 dogs as well, and each one of those guys has got 2 or 3 attacks. So it's going to be like sending a 2x4 through a wood chipper. It's just going to go and you're going to get munched. So don't countercharge. I've tried it on 2 or 3 times now. Confirmed the countercharge doesn't work against the Wolfstar. It's too powerful. And even if somehow you manage to pin him and not get munched, he has bad dice maybe he didn't get prescience. He's just going to hit and run out of there without you doing any damage to him. But on turns 1, 2, and 3 and 4, he's going to want to stay in combat with you as much as possible. He doesn't want to hit and run at that point, because if he does, you'll be shooting him, and he wants to stay locked in combat. So you have your speed bump. The next step is there's 2 strategies you can have. One is you take blobs, and one is you take multiple small units. So you're taking these 3 platoons behind, but of 40 guys, but they're each 4 10-man squads rather than 1 40-man squad. The reason for that is you can then, as you are a CAD, you slow them down with your conscripts, and then you send all these small units onto every single objective, and you make sure you've got 2 or 3 units on every single objective, so that when he splits apart, when he poofs at the end, he's got to try and murderize his way through 3 OBSEC units, 2 to 3 OBSEC units per objective. That's one way of doing it. And the other way is to blob up. And so if he breaks through on turn 3 and gets to turn 4, he might multi-assault you, but he's not gonna kill everyone in each one of those blobs, and that denies kill points, and that's very different. So, but on the other hand, if he's managed to take his Wolfstar on a CAD, and it makes you less flexible. You can't just stick 3 units on that objective that you've run to. You're only sticking 1 on, allows him to focus his attentions. He might kill you off that objective, but he's not going to kill you off the objective if you've got 3 lines of 10 guys and he's got to chew through line 1, line 2, line 3 in 3 separate squads. He only has to engage 1 squad and potentially pull you off that objective. Don't know if that makes sense. They're both perfectly legit. Okay, so that's how you beat it. You slow it down and you delay it as long as possible. If you manage to delay it and he's still chewing on conscripts by the end of turn 3, and he's still chewing on conscripts, he's only just finished his conscripts off turn 4, you've done a fantastic job. After that, it's your choice. You can either have multiple small units running around, capital objectives, or you can try and stick a blob on each objective and try and get it to kill you off. Either way is viable. So that's how you beat it. You're not going to get this through your head, though, if you face an invisible Death Star, especially Wolfstar. You're not going to kill it, but you can beat it. Focus on that Maelstrom. Focus on those objectives. Try and get Linebreaker. You're not going to get Warlord. You're not going to get First Blood. But you can get Linebreaker. Send beginning of the game, one unit runs to their deployment zone and it stays there. Alright. Hope this helps. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next time.